The stars stretched endlessly across the sky, black and glittering like diamonds scattered on silk. Captain Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of his ship, the Silver Arrow, watching the distant citadel of Warlord Varric. It floated like a dark crown over the planet Carveth, its towers gleaming under the light of the system's dying sun. This was the lair of the most feared warlord in 3-star systems, a man whose cruelty had created rivers of blood and oceans of fear, and Elias had come here to end it. He flexed his hands, feeling the familiar thrill of anticipation mixed with danger. Humans were considered fragile by most alien civilizations. They had no natural armor, no psychic powers, no strange claws or tentacles. But humans had something else: imagination, unpredictability, and a stubborn will that refused to bend. Elias was about to prove that those traits could defeat even the most powerful alien tyrant. The plan had been simple in theory. Sneak into the citadel under the cover of darkness, disable the defenses, and confront Varric. In practice, it was anything but simple. Varric's forces were everywhere. Automated turrets, flying patrol drones, and elite guards, each more dangerous than the last. Most humans would have turned back before even reaching the outer walls. But Elias was not most humans. He activated the cloaking device of his suit and felt the hum of its energy field settle over him. Slowly, silently, he descended to the lower levels of the citadel. Every step was measured. Every breath was controlled. Even the tiniest sound could alert Varric's soldiers, and in that case it would be the end. As he moved through the dark corridors, Elias's mind ran through the plan again. He would use the Citadel's own security systems against them. A human mind could think differently. Aliens relied on patterns, routines, and codes. Humans could break the pattern. He could predict their predictability. He had done it before many times, and now it had to work perfectly. A patrol of 3 guards turned the corner. Elias pressed himself against the wall and waited. The guards' armor glinted faintly in the corridor's dim light. Their voices were harsh and guttural, discussing Varric's latest conquest. Elias noted every detail: their armor type, weapon size, even the rhythm of their steps. Timing was everything. When the guards were exactly in the right position, he moved. In a swift, silent motion, he disabled the first with a short, precise strike. The second and third went down before they could sound an alarm. Elias moved on, heart steady, mind sharp. This was not just about strength. It was about cleverness, precision, and nerves of steel. Hours passed as he navigated the labyrinthine corridors, avoiding traps and bypassing guards. Each step brought him closer to Varric's chamber, but also deeper into danger. Then he reached the central hall. The room was vast, with high ceilings and glowing panels that displayed maps, fleets, and trophies from conquered worlds. And there, at the far end, stood Varric. The warlord was massive, even for his species. His skin was dark, almost metallic, with ridges along his arms and face. His eyes glowed faintly red, sharp and calculating. Around him floated holograms of his battle plans. He did not notice Elias at first, but the moment their eyes met, the air seemed to crackle with tension. "You are human," Varric's voice rumbled. "I have heard of your kind. Fragile, clever, foolish. But never this foolish." Elias did not reply. Words were useless here. Only action would speak. He analyzed the room. There were weapons on the walls, turrets hidden in corners, and an escape route blocked by reinforced doors. But he had studied this moment, imagined it in his mind countless times. Humans were unpredictable, and he would use that unpredictability now. The first strike was fast. Elias leapt forward, dodging a mechanical trap that would have pierced most humans. Varric swung a massive arm, but Elias ducked under it, using the warlord's momentum against him. They exchanged blows, strength against agility, power against speed. Varric's strikes were devastating, but slow in a way that a human mind could anticipate. Elias noticed the pattern, the rhythm. One step, one swing, one pause, predictable. And humans could exploit predictability. With a feint and a roll, he evaded a crushing blow, then aimed for the warlord's side, striking precisely where armor plates left gaps. The fight continued, brutal and silent except for the thuds of impact. Elias moved like water, flowing around Varric's rigid form. Every strike he dodged, every attack he countered, displayed the difference between human cleverness and alien raw power. It was not brute strength that won fights, it was strategy, timing, and courage. Finally, the moment came. Varric overextended in anger, swinging with all his might. Elias ducked, rolled and delivered a precise strike that incapacitated the warlord. Varric fell to the ground, breathing heavily, his massive body trembling. Elias stood over him, chest heaving, not with fear but with focus. "You underestimate humans," Elias said, his voice calm. "We survive because we adapt. We fight because we care, and we win when others fail to see beyond their power." Varric's eyes widened with surprise, disbelief, and finally recognition. And then, with a faint groan, he was gone. The citadel was silent. The guards had been neutralized, the turrets disabled, and the warlord defeated. Elias breathed, feeling the surge of victory and the weight of responsibility. This was more than a kill. It was a statement. Humans were not to be underestimated. Across the galaxy, tales of their cunning and courage would grow. But as he moved through the citadel's halls, gathering what he needed to leave, a flicker of motion caught his eye. In the shadows, a figure watched him. She was not like the guards. She moved with grace, silent and cold. Her eyes glowed with an intelligence that matched Varric's, but her intent was sharper, more dangerous. Elias stepped closer, raising a hand in caution. "Who are you?" The figure stepped into the light. She was beautiful in a way that made danger seem natural. Dark flowing armor hugged her form, and her eyes held a fire that could burn worlds. "I am Serena," she said, her voice smooth but cutting. "Varric was my husband. And now, human, you have taken everything from me. You will pay." Elias studied her. He sensed no immediate threat, but he knew better than to be fooled by appearances. Humans could survive incredible odds, but this alien, this widow of a warlord, was different. She had purpose. She had cunning. And she had a plan. "I don't want more bloodshed," Elias said calmly. "I ended this warlord because he terrorized countless lives. I am not your enemy, unless you make me one." Serena's eyes narrowed. "You may have won today, human. But my husband's legacy cannot die with him. I will see to it that his bloodline survives, and you will help me whether you want to or not." Elias's mind raced. He had faced many challenges, many enemies, but this was different.
She was not just seeking revenge.
She was planning something far larger, something that could destabilize the galaxy. And he, a human alone in an alien citadel, had just become part of a story that was far from over. He stepped back, raising his hand slightly in a gesture of temporary truce. "If you want to fight, we will have it. But if you want to survive and keep the galaxy from tearing itself apart, you should listen. Humans are unpredictable, and we always adapt." Serena tilted her head, intrigued and cautious. "Perhaps," she said. "But I have seen enough human cunning to know it can be dangerous." "Very well, Captain Kane. Let us see what you can do when the stakes are higher than a single life." Elias allowed a faint smile. For humans, danger was not always a curse. It was a test. And humans thrived on tests. As he left the citadel, the stars gleamed above him, endless and waiting. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching. And a human had just proven that even the deadliest alien warlord could fall to wit, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. But the shadow of Serena followed him, silent and patient like a storm gathering at the horizon. And Elias knew this was only the beginning. The neutral space station of Yalora was alive with activity. Ships from countless star systems hovered in its orbit, docking and undocking in a steady rhythm. Trade, politics, and whispers of power moves filled the air. Humans were rare here, and Elias Kane's presence had already stirred curiosity and caution among the station's alien residents. He moved with careful purpose, aware that danger could appear from any direction. Elias had chosen Yalora deliberately. Its neutrality meant that powerful warlords and mercenaries could not act openly without consequence. But it also meant that anyone seeking him could find him more easily. He sensed it long before he saw her. Lady Serena arrived quietly, her starship slipping into the docking bay with a smooth, almost silent grace. Unlike most of the alien races Elias had encountered, she carried herself with a calm authority. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the station as if reading the intentions of every being present. She did not wear the heavy armor of soldiers nor the trappings of wealth. Yet she radiated power. Elias met her in the central atrium, a space filled with floating holograms of star maps and trade routes. He had no guards with him. There was no need. He was alone because he wanted to negotiate without distractions. But Serena's presence alone felt like a warning. "You should not have come here," she said, her voice smooth but firm. "I have heard of your deeds, human. You killed Varric, You have destroyed everything I held dear. Elias nodded slowly. I did not kill him out of hatred or revenge. He terrorized countless innocent lives. Ending him saved more than it destroyed. Serena's eyes narrowed. That is not the matter, human. What matters is his empire, his bloodline. Without it, the galaxy will crumble into chaos, and you may hold the key to continuing it. Elias's mind sharpened. He had anticipated resistance, perhaps even revenge. But the mention of bloodline changed the stakes entirely. Explain, he said carefully, keeping his tone neutral. My husband's people believe that a ruler's legacy is more than their power. It is their lineage, she said, her gaze unwavering. If the bloodline dies, the empire collapses. I have seen countless leaders rise and fall, and I will not let his heritage vanish because of one human's ambition or courage. You have the ability to secure it, or destroy it entirely. Elias felt a weight settle on his shoulders. Humans had not ruled empires in this part of the galaxy, yet somehow, through luck, skill, or fate, he had become part of this alien political web. Serena was not just seeking vengeance. She had a purpose, and he now had a decision to make. Why come to me? Elias asked. I am human. I am not part of your empire. I do not share your bloodline. Why not find one of your own people to continue it? Serena's lips curved faintly, almost in a smile. Humans are unique. Your species carries resilience that others lack. There are genetic traits in humans. Your adaptability, your survival instinct that can produce outcomes even the most advanced alien science cannot predict. You may help preserve the bloodline or you may destroy it. The choice is yours. But know this, refusal is not an option. Elias weighed his options. He could refuse, fight, or cooperate. Each path carried risks and consequences. A simple refusal might make Serena a direct enemy, and she had the resources to pursue him across systems. Fighting her could spark a wider conflict. Cooperation seemed dangerous, yet offered a way to prevent larger disaster. I will not become a tool for revenge, Elias said finally, but I will prevent unnecessary death and protect the innocent. That much I promise. Serena's eyes studied him carefully. Clever human. Perhaps there is potential in your unpredictability. Very well. We will travel together temporarily. But remember this, my goal is clear. The bloodline must continue. If you interfere, knowingly or not, there will be consequences. The arrangement was uneasy. Elias knew he could not trust Serena completely, and she understood that he was not a mindless pawn. Yet they were bound by circumstance. To reach the child or successor of Varric's bloodline, they would have to travel through territories controlled by rival warlords and mercenary fleets. Survival depended on cooperation. Their first journey took them through the Halion Expanse, a cluster of star systems known for pirates and hidden warlords. Elias piloted the Silver Arrow with precision. Weaving through asteroid fields and avoiding detection, Serena observed silently, occasionally giving tactical advice that revealed her sharp mind. Despite her threat, Elias could not help but notice the effectiveness of her guidance. Humans often underestimated alien intelligence. In this case, she was a formidable ally. During moments of calm, they exchanged fragments of conversation. Elias learned that Serena had once been a general in Varric's army, commanding fleets and armies with precision. She had managed resources, negotiated with other factions, and survived betrayals. Her loyalty to her husband was fierce, but it was paired with intelligence and strategy. I did not marry Varric out of fear, Serena said once, her gaze fixed on distant stars. I married him because I respected his vision. The galaxy could have been united under him, but humans destroy what they do not understand. Elias listened carefully. Perhaps. But humans also create what others cannot imagine. We build, adapt, and endure. That is why we survive where others fail. Serena's eyes flickered with a hint of acknowledgement. She did not agree, but she recognized the truth. Humans were unpredictable. That unpredictability was both dangerous and valuable. Days passed in silence, broken only by the hum of engines and the occasional alert from navigation systems. Then a warning blared. A rival warlord's fleet had detected them. A wave of ships emerged from behind a cluster of asteroids, their weapons charging. Elias moved quickly, maneuvering the ship with skill that only humans could manage under such stress. Serena assisted, analyzing the fleet's formation and pointing out weaknesses. They worked together, human intuition paired with alien strategic thinking. The battle was intense, but neither fully relied on brute force. Instead, they used misdirection, speed, and intelligence to survive. By the end, the rival fleet was forced to retreat, leaving them unharmed. Serena turned to Elias, her expression unreadable. "You have skill," she said softly. "Perhaps more than I expected. Humans may indeed be useful." Elias nodded, careful not to let his guard down. "Useful for survival, yes. But my goal is not your bloodline. My goal is to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Serena's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger but in thought. "Perhaps that is the difference between us. I think of legacy and power. You think of life, and yet, we must continue together for now. There are forces in this galaxy that do not care for life or bloodlines. They care only for domination." As they continued their journey, Elias realized that this alliance, fragile and tense as it was, could be the key to saving countless lives. Humans were often underestimated, but in partnership with the cunning of aliens like Serena, they could achieve something extraordinary. Yet he also knew the danger. Serena's intentions were not aligned with his morality. One misstep, one miscalculation, and he could find himself fighting not only enemies from without, but also threats from within their uneasy alliance. The station faded behind them as they entered the endless void, stars stretching like silver threads across the dark fabric of space. Elias felt the familiar surge of determination. Humans survived because they adapted, because they faced danger without hesitation, and now, he would have to use every skill, every instinct, every ounce of ingenuity to navigate the challenges that lay ahead. Serena sat silently beside him, her eyes on the holographic map. Though she made no movement, Elias sensed her calculating every possibility, weighing every outcome. She was a widow, yes, but also a strategist, a general, and a survivor, and humans were about to prove that courage and cleverness could match and perhaps surpass the mightiest of alien minds. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But humans had survived far worse. Elias knew that the path ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine, and somewhere, in the shadows of star systems and rival fleets, the consequences of Varek's death would begin to unfold. The story of the human who killed a warlord was far from over, and the shadow of the alien widow who wanted his bloodline had only just begun to reach across the stars. The stars rushed past the viewport as the silver arrow cut through the dark void of the Hallian expanse. Elias Kane sat at the pilot console, his hands moving with practiced precision, adjusting speed, trajectory, and shields. Beside him, Lady Serena remained silent, her eyes fixed on the holographic map that projected the positions of distant fleets and hidden bases. The tension between them was thick, like the static before a storm. Neither fully trusted the other, yet both depended on each other for survival. "The rival fleets are increasing patrols near the Korath Nebula," Serena said suddenly, breaking the silence. Her voice was calm but commanding. "We cannot take the usual route. Too many eyes. We need to pass through the Iridian Belt. The asteroid field will mask our approach, but it is dangerous." Elias nodded. "Asteroid fields are tricky, but I like tricky. It will work if we keep our speed steady and sensors sharp." He could feel the thrill of challenge rising. Humans thrived on danger because they could adapt. This was exactly the kind of situation that suited him. The Iridian Belt was a dense collection of jagged, tumbling rocks, remnants of a long-dead planet. Each asteroid moved unpredictably, some spinning rapidly, others drifting lazily. Navigating it required precision, timing, and constant attention. Many pilots would have relied solely on shields or brute force to push through. But Elias used his mind first. He predicted the movement of the larger asteroids, charted a path through gaps invisible to most sensors, and adjusted the ship's speed with a subtle finesse. Serena watched quietly, her sharp eyes following the ship's progress. Despite herself, she admired his skill. Human minds were unpredictable, yes, but they also had a flexibility that alien algorithms could not match. She had relied on logic and experience for centuries, yet here was a human thinking in ways she had never anticipated. A sudden jolt shook the ship. A small asteroid had collided with a sensor array. "Minor damage," Elias said calmly, checking the console. "We can continue, but we need to adjust our approach." Serena leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Do not underestimate the nebula's turbulence. The radiation storms will interfere with navigation. You rely too much on human intuition, and you rely too much on predictability," Elias countered lightly. "Watch and learn." He adjusted the thrusters, letting the ship glide smoothly along a safer path. The asteroid belt's chaotic motion seemed almost to dance around them, and Elias guided the silver arrow through the shifting maze like a master of a delicate game. Hours passed, and the danger of the Iridian belt faded behind them. They emerged into a quieter section of space, but the tension remained. Serena broke the silence again. "We are approaching the ruins of Talvor Station," she said. "The next stage of our journey requires caution. Varric had allies hidden in this sector, and they will recognize his bloodline if we are careless." Elias studied the map. Hidden allies, meaning potential ambushes. I expected nothing less. Humans have a saying, "Fortune favors the prepared." Serena raised an eyebrow. "I see. And humans always survive, do they? Even when surrounded by enemies?" Elias allowed a faint smile.
Not always.
"But we try and we adapt. That is enough most of the time." The approach to Talvor Station was tense. The ruins floated in orbit around a dead planet, broken hulls of old ships drifting silently in the void. Sensors were unpredictable and hidden ships could be anywhere. Elias guided the silver arrow through the debris, careful not to trigger any old defense systems or hidden mines. Suddenly, a warning blared. Hidden turrets activated, aiming at their ship. Elias reacted instantly, twisting the controls to evade the sudden blast. Serena's tactical advice was precise. Shift left, reduce thrust by 10%, then roll. Her voice, calm and unwavering, guided him like a silent partner in a dangerous dance. The ship dodged the turrets, weaving through the ruins with deadly precision. For a moment, Elias felt a strange respect for Serena's insight. Humans could improvise, but aliens like her understood structure and strategy in ways he could not. Together, they were more than either alone. After passing the ambush, Elias slowed the ship. "We made it," he said, though neither of them smiled. The danger was not over. It had only shifted. Serena turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You are clever, human. Perhaps more clever than I expected. It may be useful, but remember I have my own goals. I will not hesitate to act if I see weakness." Elias nodded, understanding fully. "And I will not hesitate to act if I see danger. That is the difference between us. We are temporarily aligned, not bound by loyalty." The remainder of the journey to Varric's hidden stronghold was tense. They faced skirmishes with rogue mercenary fleets, navigated deadly planetary storms, and avoided patrols of warlords who had their own designs on Varric's legacy. Each challenge highlighted a different strength. Elias relied on improvisation, human ingenuity, and unpredictability. Serena relied on strategy, knowledge of alien customs, and disciplined focus. Together they survived where either alone might have failed. In the quiet moments between danger, Elias began to notice subtle shifts in Serena's demeanor. She was no longer just the widow of a warlord seeking revenge. She was a leader, a strategist, and a survivor, and perhaps somewhere beneath the armor of ambition and grief, there was respect for human ability. "You are not like other humans I have heard of," Serena said quietly during one long jump through hyperspace. "Most rely on weapons, strength, or brute force. You think differently. You see patterns where others see chaos." Elias leaned back, considering her words. "Humans survive because we adapt. We do not rely on what we cannot control. Chaos is just another challenge." Serena regarded him in silence, her thoughts hidden behind sharp eyes. "Perhaps that is why your species is dangerous. Not dangerous in the way my enemies are dangerous, but dangerous in ways we cannot predict. I will remember this." Days turned into weeks as they moved through hostile territories. Each encounter strengthened their uneasy alliance. They rescued civilians from pirate raids, navigated deadly asteroid storms, and gathered intelligence on factions still loyal to Varric's memory. The galaxy was vast and perilous, yet human ingenuity and alien strategy formed a combination few could match. Then, in the heart of a neutral system, they discovered a secret. Hidden on a remote moon was a small colony, abandoned to the galaxy's indifference. Sensors showed life, faint, fragile, yet unmistakable. Serena's eyes lit with a mixture of hope and calculation. "They may be here," she whispered. "The heir of Varric, hidden from the galaxy. If so, our journey is nearly complete." Elias's mind raced. The child, or successor, represented more than power. It represented the future of an entire empire. And now, the human who had killed a warlord faced a new responsibility. Protect this heir from enemies and from Serena. whose intentions were still uncertain. Their approach was cautious. Serena guided Elias through the orbital defenses, revealing hidden sensors and traps left to protect the secret. Her knowledge of Varric's empire proved invaluable. Elias followed her instructions but also relied on his intuition, predicting dangers she had not considered. Together they formed a careful balance, human improvisation and alien strategy. As they descended to the moon's surface, Elias sensed the stakes had shifted. The Warlord was dead, yet his legacy threatened to ignite conflicts far greater than any he had faced before. The heir, fragile, innocent, and unknown, was the key. Protecting it would require every ounce of human courage and ingenuity he possessed. Serena glanced at him, her face unreadable in the dim light of the ship's cockpit. "Do not fail me, human. The galaxy depends on what happens next." Elias's response was quiet but firm. "I will not fail. Not because of your goals, but because it is the right thing to do. That is what humans do." The silver arrow touched down softly on the barren surface of the moon. The winds carried fine dust that glittered under the pale light of the distant star. Ahead lay ruins, hidden structures, and secrets long forgotten. Beyond them was the air, the key to Varric's legacy and the future of the galaxy. And Elias knew that the true test of human ingenuity, courage, and moral judgment was only beginning. The barren moon stretched endlessly under the dim light of the distant star, its surface rough and broken. Elias Kane stepped out of the silver arrow, boots crunching on fine dust, his eyes scanning the horizon. Ahead, hidden within jagged rocks, lay the ruins of an old alien settlement. It was here, according to intelligence, that Varric's hidden heir might be living. Serena followed silently, her presence a mix of authority and caution. Elias could sense her mind working, calculating possibilities, evaluating threats. She had lost much, yet her determination to preserve her husband's legacy was fierce. Elias knew that this mission was no longer just about survival. It was about protecting a fragile life, while navigating the tension of an uneasy alliance. They moved cautiously, keeping to shadows and using the ruined buildings as cover. The settlement was quiet, too quiet. Sensors picked up faint life signs, small, fragile, and scattered. Elias's instincts told him the heir was near, likely hidden to avoid detection. "Stay close," Elias whispered. "We don't know who else might be watching." Serena nodded, her eyes sharp. "I have no doubt. Varric's enemies would kill the child without hesitation, and some might try to manipulate us." They reached the center of the settlement where a small structure, partially collapsed, stood alone. Inside, they found a young alien child no older than 10 standard years. The child had dark eyes similar to Varric's, and a quiet intelligence that seemed far beyond their years. They looked up at Elias and Serena with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Elias crouched, keeping his tone calm and gentle. "We are not here to hurt you," he said. "I'm Elias, this is Serena. You are safe for now, but we need to leave quickly." The child's eyes flicked to Serena. "Are you my mother?" they asked softly. Serena's expression softened for a moment, but then hardened again. "No," she said carefully. "I am someone who wants to protect you. And your father's legacy." Elias could see the tension between them. Serena wanted the child for her own purpose, yet the child needed protection. He realized that the situation required careful balance. One wrong move and the child could be endangered. Suddenly, sensors alerted them to movement nearby. Rival Warlord forces, alerted by intelligence or chance, were approaching. Elias and Serena had no time for negotiation. They had to act. "Stay behind me," Elias instructed the child. He and Serena moved swiftly, using human speed and alien strategy to guide the child through secret passages and hidden tunnels. Blaster fire erupted in the distance as the enemy closed in, but their path was narrow and filled with obstacles. Elias used the terrain to their advantage, leading the pursuers into traps and misdirection. Serena's tactical insight complemented Elias's improvisation. She identified choke points, weak spots in the enemy formation, and suggested routes that minimized risk. Together they moved like a well-oiled machine, human unpredictability paired with alien precision. Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated by the distant sound of blaster fire and alarms. The child remained quiet, trusting Elias instinctively. Humans had a way of inspiring confidence even in the most frightened beings, a quality that few aliens understood. Finally, they reached a hidden cave system beneath the ruins. The entrance was small and easy to defend. Elias set up a temporary barrier, while Serena scanned for additional threats. "We are safe for now," Elias said, breathing heavily. "But the enemy will not give up easily. We need a plan for the next stage." Serena nodded. "The child must survive. If we can reach the neutral planetary council, their authority will protect us. But the journey will be perilous. We must be careful." Elias looked at the child. "You are stronger than you realize," he said. "Humans survive in impossible situations. And now you have to learn from us too." The child nodded, understanding more than their years would suggest. In that moment, Elias realized that the future of Varroc's legacy was not about power or revenge. It was about survival, courage, and the moral choice to protect life. As they prepared to leave the cave, Elias felt a surge of determination. The galaxy was dangerous, filled with those who sought power at any cost. But humans, and those who chose to fight alongside them, could tip the balance. And for the first time, Serena seemed to see this truth as well. The journey ahead would be filled with danger, deception, and unexpected challenges. But Elias was ready. Humans had survived worse, and he would ensure that this child, the hidden heir, survived as well. The galaxy might not understand humans, but it would learn to respect them, and perhaps it would learn that courage and compassion could shape the stars themselves. The journey to the neutral planetary council was fraught with danger. Rival factions had learned of Varroc's hidden heir, and their pursuit was relentless. Elias piloted the Silver Arrow with unmatched skill, weaving through asteroid fields, nebula storms, and patrol fleets. Serena sat beside him, her tactical mind guiding each decision, her eyes scanning for threats that could strike at any moment. The child, silent but attentive, watched them closely. They were learning quickly, understanding strategy, caution, and the importance of human and alien cooperation. Elias felt a sense of responsibility heavier than any he had carried before. This was not just survival, it was about shaping the future. As they neared the Council's territory, a massive blockade appeared. Ships from rival warlords formed a wall, their weapons aimed directly at the Silver Arrow. Elias's hands moved over the controls, but he knew brute force would not work. He had to think differently. "Trust me," he said to Serena. "We'll make it through without a fight, if we use their expectations against them." Serena's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Humans have a saying, fight only when necessary. We survive by thinking ahead. Watch." Elias activated a series of decoy signals projecting multiple images of the Silver Arrow fleeing in different directions. The rival ships fired at the wrong targets, wasting ammunition and exposing weak points in their formation. Using this distraction, Elias guided the real ship through an unguarded passage in the blockade. The maneuver required split-second timing, trust, and precision. It worked flawlessly. The Council's territory appeared ahead, a massive city planet with towering spires and a protective shield. As they entered safely, Elias allowed himself a brief moment of relief. But Serena was already analyzing the next step. "The Council will protect the child, but they will want answers," she said. "We must be careful how we present the situation." Elias nodded. "Truth tempered with strategy. Humans survive through honesty when it matters most, and calculation when it is needed." They landed in the Council's central chamber. Representatives from dozens of star systems observed the human, the alien widow, and the child. Tension filled the room. Some factions desired the heir for their own gain. Others feared chaos if the child remained unprotected. Elias stepped forward, calm and composed. "This child is not a weapon nor a tool for power. Their life is fragile, their future uncertain, but they deserve protection, guidance, and the chance to grow in safety. That is the responsibility we accept, not for conquest, not for revenge, but because it is right." Serena stepped beside him, her expression softening. "I sought to preserve a legacy. I see now that legacy is more than bloodlines. It is survival, morality, and wisdom. We must choose the path that ensures life, not destruction." The Council deliberated. Hours passed, but in the end a decision was reached. The child would be placed under the Council's protection, with Elias and Serena allowed to guide them from a distance. Rival factions were barred from interference, ensuring the heir's safety. Elias felt a rare sense of fulfillment. The galaxy had tested him, pushed him to the limits of skill, courage, and morality. Humans had survived not because of strength, but because of adaptability, ingenuity, and compassion. The child's life was secure, and the galaxy had been reminded that humans were a force to respect. Serena turned to Elias. "You have changed my perspective, human. I once saw only power and revenge. Now I see strategy, foresight, and morality. Perhaps humans are not so foolish after all." Elias allowed a faint smile. "We are not perfect, but we survive. And sometimes that is enough to change the course of history." As they prepared to leave the council's chamber, the child approached Elias, eyes wide with curiosity and trust. "Will I be safe?" they asked softly. "You will be," Elias said gently. "Humans, aliens, and all who care will watch over you. You have a future, and it is yours to shape." Serena watched, a mix of relief and newfound understanding in her eyes. "Perhaps this is the legacy my husband would have wanted. Peace, not war. Life, not destruction." Elias looked out at the stars once more, feeling the weight of all they had endured. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they would do so again. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. Yet courage, ingenuity, and morality could tip the balance, and humans had proven that once more. The silver arrow lifted off, carrying Elias and Serena back into the endless void. The stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of challenges yet to come, victories yet to be won, and the enduring spirit of humanity shining brightly across the galaxy. The story of the human who killed a warlord had ended not with vengeance, but with hope. And the alien widow who sought the bloodline had learned that the true legacy of power lay not in domination, but in life, survival, and the courage to do what was right.